The option with the highest chance of succeeding that would make presidential elections the most democratic would be to pass a federal law requiring states to allocate electoral votes in proportion to the popular vote in that state. This has a much higher chance of being enacted because it would not require a constitutional amendment like a switch to a direct popular vote would. An amendment abolishing or changing the Electoral College would likely fail because small states would not want to lose influence, and it requires 38 states to ratify an amendment for it to become law. Allocation by percentage would give the minority in states much more of a voice while still using the existing system.
We can take inspiration for changing our system from other countries. For example, France has a presidential election system where there can be any number of candidates running, but in mid-April they have a primary election, and then the top candidates move on into the main election in May. That way, small political parties can still run a candidate, and it isn't as selective as it is in the United States. What do you think of the idea of runoff elections? Like, that way...
How so?
If there are, let's say, 8 candidates, then the top 2, or there's an election, the top 2 are picked, and then
not allowing elections to go through plurality. Those are based on state law. Generally, most states provide for whoever gets the most votes wins the electoral votes. No, I absolutely agree. I think that you can have a situation where you could, in some cases, take off a number, but I would still say generally you would take off everybody but the top 3 candidates, and that means that you had, in this case, probably a third-party candidate. And so unless you're going to eliminate it back to just 2 parties, a Republican and Democratic candidate, which I'm strongly opposed to. I think we have too much power seated in those 2 political parties, and as a result, we can affect a change where we can see greater representation for a third party or for other smaller parties to have an impact on the election. I think it's worthwhile to pursue.
Okay.
Yep.
In the 2-round system used by many countries such as Brazil and France, what happens is candidates are chosen in the first round to decide which 2 of the most popular candidates move into the second round, where everyone in the country chooses between the 2 best choices. An example of this would be that 25 people are having dessert, but they all have to decide what they want to order. 10 people vote for ice cream, while 8 people vote for fruit. And another, I think we'll say 3 decide to vote for cake, and then the rest decide to vote for celery. The 2 popular being ice cream and fruit end up moving into the second round where everyone is given a choice to choose between the 2. This is a positive thing because it would represent a more popular direct vote, but it has its drawbacks in the United States because it would require the abolishment of the Electoral College, which is something that will never happen due to the fact that small states would like the Electoral College because of the representation they get from it. Another potential drawback is that it would be very hard to introduce a third party into the United States because of the fact that most people identify as Republican or Democrat.
Critics of the popular vote system often point to the problem of people in less populated areas not having as much of a say in the election as people in populated cities, but that's just the way that democracy works. I mean, majority rules. Cities have more people, therefore they should get, more of a say. I mean, they have more people, so.
Okay. On the direct popular vote, one of the common arguments against that is that candidates will only focus on issues for urban areas, and that rural Americans won't be represented.
Yeah, but I think you've seen some areas there that even in general elections, kind of paid attention to the most recent elections that have taken place in the Republican Party. Mitt Romney is winning large urban areas, and Rick Santorum is winning the rural area. And in some cases, he's winning states. In some cases, he's not. But it is actually playing itself out. But we are a society that, that you will apply to those things where you can be popular elected, and yes, the urban centers hold a larger percentage of the population, then in theory they should have a greater representation. But we are still heavily focused in a generation upon generation where we have probably over-representation in our state legislatures and therefore in our congressional districts of the rural interests. And so if this actually begins to shift that to a more urban center, that's probably a good thing.
So do you know what the Electoral College is?
Yes, I think I have an idea.
Do you agree with it?
Yes, I think I do. I think it's a good way to get the nominees running.
Yeah. So do you know what the Electoral College is?
Yeah.
Can you describe it?
Well, if you know and I know, I don't have to describe it, but I can tell you what I think about it.
All right, what do you think
It
about
was put into the Constitution by the people who wrote it so that if the people who voted weren't smart enough to elect somebody they liked, they could overrule it and put in who they wanted to. So as time went on and we have mass communication and more education, it's become obsolete, and now somebody can win the popular vote and lose the election through the Electoral College, which is always wrong. So we don't need that anymore. We should do away with it.
All right, thank you.
College.
Okay.
Okay, do you know anything about the Electoral College, and if so, what's some stuff that you know?
I know the electoral. I think the Electoral College has to do with how in an election we don't actually, the votes aren't counted for the candidate. They're counted to have representatives who go.
Right. And would you say you disagree with the concept, or you agree with them voting?
I say I don't know enough about it to have a strong opinion.
Okay, awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Both of us. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a lot smarter than me.
That's okay. Do you guys know what the Electoral College is, and can you explain anything about it?
Okay, I think the Electoral College is you take so much of the popular vote for the president that you get one vote for that candidate. And different states have different amounts. And the weird thing is that a couple of times in history, people that have actually got more of the popular vote got less of the electoral vote. So they actually lost
the
with
election.
more votes.
Right.
So that's everything I know. The
That's
end.
awesome. That's a lot. Do you guys agree, or would you say you disagree with the concept of the Electoral College?
I agree. It's worked all this time, and yeah, I don't see why you need to
Well,
change
if you got rid of it, you just go straight.
popular vote, right?
Popular vote.
Yeah,
So you mostly agree?
yeah.
He does. I think you could do popular vote myself.
Awesome. Well, thank you all
Unless
for
you
your
had
time.
hanging chads. Remember that? She's probably too young.
I don't know.
In Florida, one time they voted and they didn't.
Yeah, I got it.
Well, you're not too young.
See, I just think that I'm not sure the popular vote is always the most informed and intellectual.
Right.
Well, that's who's in the country. They get
Look what we got. Look what we got.
Well, why does the Electoral College?
I think if you don't make 30,000 a year, you shouldn't get to vote.
I'm not putting my name on that
Well,
one.
I'm just saying, if you make 60, you get 2 votes. Why does the country get to be ran by the people that are the less? They have more to gain because of the entitlement rights. So why would they vote somebody in there that makes you work for what you get? Why not vote the guy in there that's going to hand you everything? So the lowest amount of gene pool is the one that does all the voting.
Well, I came from Arkansas, and that's how Clinton got elected.
There we go.
Thank
Are we
you.
done?
Thank you.
Bye.